No one ever announced it. There was no election, no referendum, no dramatic vote late at night. And yet, every day, trillions of dollars quietly changed direction. Not because people decided, not because governments agreed, but because a system did exactly what it was built to do. If you woke up poorer this year, without losing your job, without spending more, without making a single bad decision, it probably wasn't your fault. Something else moved the money, and you didn't get a ballot. That's the uncomfortable truth at the center of the modern financial world. The most powerful forces shaping your income, your savings, your rent, and your future don't require permission. They don't ask, they just operate. And most people never see them. Right now, inflation has reshaped daily life. Interest rates decide who can buy a home. Markets react before laws are written. Entire countries feel pressure without a single soldier crossing a border. We're told this is just how the economy works, but that explanation hides something deeper. Because underneath the headlines, underneath the politics, underneath the chaos, there is a quiet mechanism, slow, technical, and deeply misunderstood, that moves money automatically. It doesn't care who's in office. It doesn't care what people want. And it doesn't care if the consequences are fair. Tonight, we're going to trace that mechanism, step by step. Not with jargon, not with ideology, but with the actual logic that makes it unavoidable. And once you see it, you'll never hear the word economy the same way again. Let's start with a strange question. How does money decide where to go? Not who spends it, not who earns it, but where money itself flows. Most people assume money follows effort, or productivity, or innovation. Sometimes it does, but most of the time, money follows something much quieter. Rates. Interest rates. They sound boring, technical, almost harmless, but interest rates are not just numbers, they are instructions. They tell banks when to lend. They tell investors when to risk. They tell governments when borrowing is cheap and when it becomes dangerous. And here's the key part. Almost no one votes on them. Central banks set them. Committees adjust them. Markets anticipate them. By the time the public notices, the money has already moved. When rates fall, borrowing explodes. When rates rise, money retreats. Not slowly, not politely, but mechanically. This is the first layer of the system, an automatic steering wheel, and it exists for a reason. Because centuries ago, governments learned a painful lesson. If politicians control money directly, they will overuse it, print too much, spend too freely, delay the pain. So power was delegated, not removed, just relocated, from parliaments to institutions, from voters to formulas. That decision changed everything. But interest rates alone don't explain the scale. They don't explain how entire economies tilt, why housing booms in one decade and collapses in the next, why asset prices inflate faster than wages, why debt grows even when everyone claims to be reducing it. For that, we need to talk about money creation, not printing, creation. Here's the part almost no one is taught. Most money is not created by governments. It's created by banks. When a bank approves a loan, it doesn't hand out existing money, it creates new money. Digits appear, balances rise, the money supply expands. This happens thousands of seconds across the global system. And again, no vote. Just rules, capital requirements, risk models, liquidity ratios, cold technical guardrails. When those guardrails loosen, money multiplies. When they tighten, money evaporates. Not symbolically, literally. This is why financial crises feel sudden. The money was never stable, it was conditional. And when conditions change, the system reverses. Now add markets. Markets don't wait for confirmation. They move on expectations. If traders believe rates will rise, money moves today. If investors expect trouble, capital retreats before trouble exists. This creates feedback loops. Fear becomes reality. Optimism inflates bubbles. No conspiracy required, just incentives. This is where power becomes invisible, because no single actor controls the outcome.
Everyone is reacting. And yet the result is massive coordination. Money floods some sectors, dries up in others. Entire communities boom or decay. And the explanation is always the same. The market decided. But markets don't decide, they respond to signals. And those signals originate upstream. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. This system doesn't just allocate money, it allocates pain. When inflation rises, it taxes savings. When rates rise, it punishes debtors. When markets crash, pensions feel it. None of this requires malicious intent, but it creates winners and losers anyway. People with assets benefit first. People without them absorb the shock. Over time, inequality widens, not because someone voted for it, but because the system is asymmetric. Money responds faster than wages, capital adopts faster than labor, and policy always arrives late. This is the quiet mechanism at work. Now zoom out. On a global scale, this mechanism becomes even more powerful. Currencies rise and fall, capital crosses borders instantly, nations compete for investment. If confidence drops, money leaves. Not next year, not after debate, immediately. This is how financial pressure replaces force. Countries adjust policies not because voters demanded it, but because capital demanded safety. The system doesn't need enforcement, it enforces itself. At this point, a question usually appears. Is this democratic? The honest answer is complicated. The system was built to be stable, predictable, protected from short-term politics. And in many ways, it works. But stability has a cost: distance. The farther decisions move from voters, the quieter power becomes. And when consequences arrive, they feel random, unfair, inevitable. So where does that leave us? We live inside a machine that was designed to operate without permission. That's not a secret, it's the feature. The problem is not that it exists. The problem is that most people don't know it's there. They blame themselves, they blame each other, they argue over symptoms, while the mechanism keeps running, quietly, automatically. The real question isn't whether we should turn it off, it's whether a system this powerful can remain legitimate when the people it affects never get to see how it works. Because once you notice it, you can't unsee it. And the next time money moves without anyone voting, you'll know exactly why. Or at least, you'll know where to look.